All right, I'll be ready soon. Alright, I think I'm ready to start. I'm literally just thinking about how I'm going to start. Okay. All right. Let's switch it to this one. All right. I think I'm ready to go. Yeah, let me switch this over. Here's me. Hi. So, welcome to the first real episode. How's the music? I know no one's really in chat right now, but I'm hoping the balance is good. Seems a little loud for me. But yeah, I'm going to be doing like a stream. I've tried this out a few times, but let me see. Hello, American Mexican. How's it going? I am just setting things up. All right, so I should be able to see stream down here. And yeah, so today is a pretty big day for me. Here, I'll just turn that off. Well, welcome. This is a video, and I'm Sheldon Bird. And I just decided to start streaming because I figured like I'm doing so much with music and, you know, creativity and stuff, and I'm like barely talking about it. So I figured I might as well just like brute force my way through and, you know, just try it out, see if it works. Yeah. So today I decided might as well go through, like a thorough introduction of what I do and kind of how I got here. And by here, I mean, I am 28 years old and I've been producing music in FL Studio since I was 13. And, you know, it started off as just for fun. And eventually it became a passion. And now it's like, all right, how do I get opportunities? And, you know, I want to travel and I want to explore things. Hey, Stony, fire emoji. Yeah. So also, if you notice, there's a big delay going on. So yeah, keep that in mind. Yeah, so I have like kind of no idea what I'm doing here, but I do have a general idea of what I'm doing here, which includes this. So here I am on YouTube with the thing that kind of got me interested in making music at all. So a brief background here before I get into that. Brief background. I grew up in a musical family where, you know, my mom was a performer, is a performer still, Jackie Bird. My grandpa, he was a big rock and roller in the 60s, up until, you know, yeah. So like, I've been around music, I've been around art all my life, and for fun, you know, I would go on the computer and I ended up, you know, wanting to make music at some point. Like I wanted to make rock and like speed metal and stuff like that. You know, I was like a kid who really liked metal and stuff. It just really hit. So like, there was this website called addictinggames.com that we played during school. And hopefully some of you who are watching this might know that about that era. Early, you know, mid 2000s Flash game website. And there was one game on there that was very interesting to me. It's called Punk-O-Matic. And here, I'll switch over to the window. Punk-O-Matic, as you can see in this thumbnail, still learning where I'm at. Yeah, in that thumbnail there. You basically select, you know, there's 3 instruments, the bass guy, the guitar guy, and then the drums guy. And you just select what they play in a sequence. And then, you know, you're essentially making your own songs. You know, it's in quotes because it's all presets. You know, you can't really like sequence everything on your own there. But it was enough to get me the sense of like, oh yeah, this is cool. You know, like this is a cool sound. And so this is where I'm going to start because my idea is to just like, you know, just go down memory lane and just eventually end up here. I'm hoping not to go off topic too much, but we'll see. So anyway, let's take a look at Punk-O-Matic. So keep in mind, this is somewhat a live reaction because I've known of this, but as you can see from this guy down here, I've seen a video of the sequel to it, but I didn't really like go too far into the original, like the one I played. So yeah, without further ado, let's see how it loads.
Check this out.
So this is interesting because it's so like edgy 2000s, like, you know, it's so messy sounding. Yeah. Oh. Oh, I forgot. So like this guy's scrolling down here, you could like keep changing it over time. And yeah, that's pretty cool sequencing. Oh, come on. Well, I mean, you get the point. Like here, I'll just play it quietly. But you know, so like you get these three guys to do, you know, all this stuff that you have, all these options. You can mix and match them in any way, and they work. It's just so funny thinking about this. But yeah, like I really wanted to make like kind of this type of music when I was younger. I learned guitar, like I learned bar chords and stuff like that, and you know, I had a pretty good time with it. But eventually, my brother ended up showing me this producer named Flying Lotus, who, long story short, completely changed my evolution. I'm hesitant to look up anything he's done and play it because copyright, you know, like I know I'm not being monetized, but I don't want to get striked because maybe UMG or whoever owns the recordings are like, hey, you used, you know, our recording in your video. That's so lame. So just to be safe, I'm just going to not play it. So, Flying Lotus massage situation. In fact, I'm just going to look it up. Flying Lotus massage and then massage situation. This I'll start a little bit. All right, so that's Flying Lotus in the late 2000s. And this guy completely changed a lot of things for my brother and I. Yeah. Been loving this beat for 15 years and never get tired of it. Same. Reading that person's comment. But yeah, this song in particular changed everything because I went from wanting to make rock and metal and stuff to wanting to make like sci-fi beats, more or less. Like I wanted to do kind of like what he's doing. I wonder how I can play this. I'll just like risk it a little bit. Oh, there's a joint, sure. But yeah, I don't want to play too much. But yeah, Flying Lotus. My brother ended up showing me this in like 2008, I think, or 2009, somewhere around there. And you know, it's not like I only listen to metal. Like there were some other types of music like this, but eventually he found a program where we could make music, and it's called Fruity Loops Studio, also known as FL Studio, which is still my main DAW today, digital audio workstation. And you know, that just allows me to make like anything I want as long as I know what to do. And yeah, it just really blew my mind. So yeah, I can't remember if there was a transition period between still being a rock kid and then also starting beats. I don't really know. I knew at some point I wanted to do guitar and vocal stuff, but I didn't exactly want it to be power metal or, you know, something like that. So, yeah. Let's see. So, I want to show you guys an exclusive thing that I'm probably not going to show a lot of people, and that is my very first song. I need to find it. It's on. I have two screens, and this is where I find it. So, my very first song, I think I finished it in late May of 2009, which meant I just turned 13. Very formative time. Here, let me switch scene really quick. Whoops. There we go. Hi. Where even is this? I'm looking through my big file folder of things. Let's see. That one. And what I wanted to do when I very first started making music is I wanted to make songs that basically copy Flying Lotus in a way. Like I was very interested in continuing that type of sound, even though I knew nothing on how to like do it. Where is this? You know, I might switch to the slideshow music thing just so I can find this really quick. So give me like literally 1 minute, and yeah, I'll be right back. Okay, I found it like right away. All right, so let's see. So I'm going to be moving my window here. Come on, computer. There we go. It's a big window. Trying to shrink this down. I'm excited for my future streams where like everything's already set up. Because right now this is a little janky. But oh well, that's kind of like the way I roll typically. All right, so that should be good. So here it is. Oh, whoops. I have to switch windows 1 second. And here we are. So this is going to be quiet. And the thing is, it was easy to distort music. You know, so I turned everything way down. So you're going to have to really like listen in, and I promise I won't be too loud. I won't scare you guys. I just saw chat. Hey, Evan. Hey, Stooky person. So yeah, this is my very first beat, like ever. And these are a lot of presets. I think I showed you, Evan, yeah. That arpeggio, that thing, I did that. I made that on guitar, and then I was like, oh, I'll just put this on a song. it's interesting that my music still kind of sounds like this in some ways. Yep. So that's my first ever song. Ever. Like, yeah, before I used to like make a sequence, maybe like a beat, and then just play it over and over and then just delete it later. But yeah, that was the first ever sequence. And I had to ask my brother a few questions on like, how do I make a second pattern clip, or like, you know, how do I change the volume on this thing? And you know, very good times. It was, yeah, it's just pure play. Like it was a lot of fun. Here, let's do another old one just while I'm back here in 2009. Okay. Now I'll move this over. Come on. Okay. Yeah. So this is a song called Scary Larry. And back when I was first making music, I remember thinking like it was so special whenever a song was completed. So I would just like keep count. And this was song number 5. And I would keep track like, oh, this is my 11th song. Oh, this is song number 15. And I started to lose track around 20 or 30. And now I think it's up to like the 500s or 600s. Not including the unfinished things. So like there's a massive iceberg of things that I just haven't released. And I feel like a lot of people are like that. So yeah, here's a very ancient one called Scary Larry. And this is while I was still figuring out how to do things. Like parts of the beat, I want it to be like a kind of thing, but like I didn't know how to do that, so I just had kind of thing. I made this on a laptop on a road trip. It's another guitar thing that those two chords. Also, it's supposed to sound distorted. Hydrate. And we'll probably not hear all the old songs, but just a few. I think it was around Halloween. I don't fully remember. It might have been November, but close. Yep, so that's that one. Yeah, like my style used to be a lot more like video gamey, I guess. Like, you know, the synths were very rudimentary. Like I didn't really know how to like finesse them very much. And I didn't have the budget nor the know-how to like find more more sounds. So like yeah. I used to really not like the observation of like, oh, it sounds like a video game. And sometimes I don't know if I like that, because it's, to some people that means like it goes from like opening their minds, like where it's like, oh, I'm listening to music, and it switches to like, oh, I'm listening to video games. You know, and it's like, it is music, like even if it references like a video game type sound. And Evan, if you're still watching, I wonder what your thoughts on this are. Yeah, so yeah, I'm learning to embrace it, because it's, you know, video games are such a big part of our society and like our core memories. And at this point, it's not so negative, I guess. Anyway, so here's another one. This is the later part of 2009. This is song number 7, the 7th song I ever made. And I won't play the whole thing because it's kind of repetitive. So one thing I forgot to mention with this is, as part of growing up in a musical family, we had a family band when I was younger. Here, I'll turn it down. Yeah, and it was myself, my brother, my 3 cousins, and then my grandpa. He was like the main guy. He was in the band in the 60s. And yeah, so like he taught us all these songs, he taught us instruments, and we ended up playing shows. Like we toured around for like a few years, and yeah, I was the drummer. So like part of what informed my production was drumming. Like as you can kind of hear, well, maybe during the second beat, but like, you know, I'm thinking about drumming when I'm sequencing all this stuff. This part. But yeah, like that's the gist of the song. Like it just keeps going, but yeah, so yeah, I just kept experimenting. Let's move on to a bit further into the thing. In a separate thing, I have all my songs saved in a folder, and it's I did it in chronological order. So we were just in 2009. Well, I did Scary Larry and that's state modified. Okay, never mind. So yeah, that was 2009. And then here, actually, I know what I'll do. I'm going to take a look at YouTube again because it's nice when there's more of a visual. I'm going to go to my channel. Hey, look, it's me. It's this stream. I made that thumbnail like right before I started streaming. Anyway, I'm going to go to videos and then sort it by oldest. I love this feature because there are certain creators that I watch where like I'm interested to see how they were when they first started. And yeah, so then I get to go to the oldest and then just look at the ones that are still up because I'm sure some people private or unlist some of their old stuff. But yeah, here we are 15 years ago. Here, I'll turn it up a tiny bit. So this is on my channel. So me, don't come after me. This was published like the day of or the day after I made the song. So yeah, November 7th, 2009. Yeah, that's when this one showed up. And an interesting thing about that I'm noticing while I'm listening to the old music compared to how I do it nowadays, like when I listen back here, I had these song ideas, these fully developed songs, and they were just like jamming in my head, and I'm like, this is cool. And like, you know, I'd figure out like, all right, I need to do this really quick, and I would like lay down the do 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 do, you know, like I had that whole thing and like the beat, and I was like this physical beat that we're hearing right now is close enough. Like I was thinking something a bit more like forceful and technological, but I didn't have the knowledge at the time. So like, you know, this works. And yeah, for being 15 years old, like I'm pretty you know, I'm pretty proud of how much it still kind of holds up. Like I wouldn't release it today, but at least it sounds cohesive. And yeah, like I remember when I was first starting, how easy it was to, like, it was just super easy to make stuff. And yeah, I'm really appreciative of that because it gave me an early experience of like a flow state like that. Like when I made this, it probably took like 2-3 hours or less, maybe even 1 hour. But yeah, so this is done times 3. done. Yeah, like you could tell I was 13. Well, I could tell I was 13. Oh, my old. Oh, that's fun. That was my old outro thing. Yeah, so that is done times 3. Yeah. So just checking chat. Yeah. I'm going to sort by oldest again. I'm going to skip It's Really Cold. Again, this is all on my channel. Like I'm choosing to go through the stuff on my channel now. There will be more you know, deep cuts that I might play. I don't know. But basically this is me going down memory lane. Yeah, so I was happy to see in one of these, I forget which one, but there were some people in the comments being like, oh yeah, like I've been listening to this song for 12 years and it brings back so many memories. And it's like, whoa, that's really meaningful. Like I really appreciate that so much. Like, I was just, hyper little kid just trying to make music, and like, I wanted to be really cool, and I wanted to post these videos, and and there are people making memories with it, and that's so special. So I just want to say thank you if you're watching. You're one of the big reasons I decided to do this, because like, in case there are people who have been watching me since I was posting a long time ago, and then suddenly there's a video for me nowadays, it's like, I want to address where I've been. So this next one is called Pandora. Before I play it, I just want to show you guys. So down here, January 19th, 2010. We're in 2010 now, the new decade. And yeah, so we watched Avatar, the first movie. We watched that in the theater. And like, yeah, it was really cool. Like, especially the late 2000s, beginning of 2010. Like, you don't really see that detail of like CGI. And so it was really cool. But I was inspired by the world, like all the alien trees and like the cool species crawling everywhere. So like, I decided like, I'll make a beat based on it. So like, I did. But yeah, this song was intense. Kind of life-changing now that I think about it. Because like, I was just making it, and I knew it was ahead of my time, like skill level wise, but I was like, for some reason, I just know what to do next. Like the little psh, like whenever that goes, like, that was a very like, I don't know, like, just this one is very close to me because like, it feels like my soul. Yeah, so this one's very special to me. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. Eventually it's going to be properly released, but I just need to find the right context or something. But yeah, so this one, Pandora, you can listen to the rest. I mean, you got the gist of it, but you can listen to the rest on my channel if you want. Yeah, so this was the entry into 2010. And yeah, very special decade. Let's see. I'm going to go now to, I'm going to skip Dry Spell. Though that one was momentous too, because I kind of like, it was less like a sound experiment and more like song structure-y. But this one, for some reason, is one of my most viewed videos so far. Yeah, so this was on May 29th, 2010. I had just turned 14. So I was working on this the days leading up to it. Back in this day, is the volume good? Yeah. So back in this day, we only had the demo of FL Studio, which meant we could use it all we wanted to. Like almost everything was available, but we couldn't save. So we had to just work on the songs until they were done and then export them, which meant we could only basically make songs, we as in my brother and I, because we were both very involved. You know, like we could only make music in one sitting or a bit more. Like it could be on in the background as we, like, you know, close the laptop and put it away and, you know, open it back up. But like, it's basically one sitting that we could do things. But I do remember this one was up for like 4 days. It didn't take 4 days. I just, you know, started and stopped every so often. But it's still intriguing that this one is the most viewed, because like it's cool. Maybe it's the calming, chill out dubstep, the subtitle over there. Yeah, just looking at the comments here. I'm gonna heart this. Maybe this person's still active. But yeah, this was the thing. Like, we used to listen to mixes, which were basically like DJ sets, where like you kind of have a song that transitions into another song that's like kind of similar. And yeah, so I just had this idea, like, what if I made a song that was like a little section of a mix? Like, you know, this is 7 minutes long, but it's actually like 4 songs, like, you know, pieced next to each other. Yeah, I don't know if I want to play this whole thing. But yeah, like, it was just pure exploration. Oh, and fun fact here, I'll keep it. I want to hear this. I might reuse that riff. No one else will do it, just me. But yeah, so like, this was around the time when I got my appendix taken out. Somewhere around this, must have been like a few months later or something. But at some point I had to get my appendix taken out, and like, yeah, fun times. I don't know what else I was gonna say about it. Yeah, you know, like, I think this was around song 30, 20 or 30. As you can hear, this isn't dubstep. Like, I don't know why. I assumed that the term dubstep was broad. Like, I assumed it was like this sort of sound counted as dubstep. And this was a bit before, like, you know, it started to get really standardized, because by 2016 it was completely a thing, and like people were starting to do post dubstep, I think. But yeah, you guys can listen to the rest of that if you want. But for some reason that has almost 2,000 views at this point in its life. Crazy. And here, if I sort by popular, it is the second most viewed. Here, I'll look at this one.
Why, hello there. I'm an audio robot. I'm here to tell you that you are about to enter a place called Dreamland. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, so this was another one of those things where it was done kind of in one sitting. I remember I was on a road trip with my mom, and we were on our way somewhere, and I was just working on this on the laptop in my headphones. I think my brother had a little bit of input, But yeah, this was summer of 2010. Just checking the comments. Maybe that was on a different one. But yeah, anyway, this is my most listened to one. And I hope that's because people like kept listening back. Yeah. I'm just going to move forward because, as I said, all these songs are on my channel right now. And yeah, it'd be fun to listen back. I want to move ahead in time a bit. Let's see. I think 2010 was a huge year for me, musically. Yeah, because... So you remember Pandora. That was the beginning of that year, and then this is the end of that year. We were listening to a lot of Hudson Mohawk, so maybe you could hear that if you know of Hudson Mohawk from around this time. Also Dorian Concept. It's interesting how Dorian Concept has kind of resurged in people in the like algorithm and stuff, because now he's like known as like the dungeon synth guy, and like, you know, people know him for his synth playing, but like I know him for his music, like, you know, the full songs. So I find it interesting, but I'm really glad that he's still active. Oh, here's something interesting that I just read in the... Oh, yeah, I mentioned Hudson Mohawk. Here, I'll just let this play out. That's when I abandoned the outro. So down here I said, made in FL Studio 9 in almost 3 hours. It just shows how much work I put into it. Which is crazy, because now that I have the option to save, there are songs that have taken literally set like 70 hours. And, you know, it's not really a flex. It's more so just like, you know, I have the capability now. Like, it's crazy. Just growth. It's wild. It's been 15 years. Wait, almost 15 years since this song came out. Which, yeah, that's like halfway through my life, kind of, because I'm 28 now. Yeah. Okay, so here's where the turning point happens. So right now we're in kind of like the proto era, you know, where I'm like just figuring stuff out, just making what comes out. And then this one was special. So yeah, 2011. Yeah. I'd like to I don't know, better formulate this presentation better next time. Yeah, because yeah. So Aquatic Luxury was really cool because it, like, I really want to do like kind of a futuristic-esque sound, or, you know, like ultra smooth, like luxury product, hence the name Aquatic Luxury. Yeah, and someone down here said a really nice comment, and you know, I think about it sometimes. It's really motivating. They said, lately I've been going through an existential crisis. I've been losing my faith in the religion of music. Nothing seems to connect to my dull mind anymore. You, my friend, have restored my faith in music. Ja Guide. It's, you know, like, there's a lot of times when I'm working on all this stuff and I feel like, who cares? You know, like, I've just been doing this for so long, and it seems like most people are not interested in exploring it more, which I understand now, but at first it really kind of stung, because it's like I'm putting so much like heart into this, and it's like, you know, if they're rejecting this, they're rejecting me. And you know, I'm realizing that it's not exactly that way. Like, you know, those who find it will really, really find it. And those who don't, they'll find something else. But yeah, so this song is a milestone for me. Yeah, so I'm going to go back. So we're at 2011. Let's see. I have this playlist where it's like, oh yeah, spoilers in some of these if you are interested. I'm looking for, it's like one song a year thing. I forgot what I even named it. Oh yeah, one song all years. It's a playlist. It's a playlist where I scoured all my files and tried to do one song per year that I've been active. So we've already heard this. And then we've already heard this. I still really like this one. This was on my SoundCloud, which I didn't even talk about because I don't know. I've grown apart from my SoundCloud, even though I still have it. It's in the description if you guys are interested. Yeah, I might post that one someday. Because that's one of the ones where it does a lot of stuff. Like, there's a fellow producer who's on YouTube and, you know, throughout the internet. His name's Native Cell. I've been very inspired by his work, and this year he decided to go through all of his unfinished demos and just like post them. And so like I'm feeling kind of encouraged to do the same. And this is one of them that I want to post. So yeah, I think this was 2012. Okay, so 2012, 2013, that is basically a transition point in my life, I think, because let's see, 12, 13, 14, 15. So yeah, I turned 16 in 2012. And then, you know, as like everyone does, like that's when like certain maturity, certain things happen where like, you know, I started to feel more mature in my music and I wanted to take things a bit more seriously. And so I decided to kind of go far out. And that's where Tempo Infinity comes. As of late, my most unviewed video. But I can understand why. It's pretty esoteric. Like, you know, these songs, it's a bunch of little clips that like blend into each other, and it's like half an hour long. So let's see, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I was 17 when I released this, and I was in high school, and I remember after school, like I had it in my calendar, in my little planner, that I wanted to do all this. So I made this album art in computer class. This is an image that I took, and then I further altered it in Photoshop because that's the unit that we were on. And yeah, I learned how to like do these gradients. I like manually did all these colors, but that's a picture of a bunch of branches with snow on them. And yeah, I took a bunch of photos, and I thought they were really nice. And I still take a lot of photos, and I still think they're nice. But yeah, I am not going to play this whole thing. But Tempo Infinity is kind of an epic. Yeah, Tempo Infinity, it's like my first glance into like new age music. You know, around this time I was starting to get into that type of thing. And, you know, trying to like reach higher, like a more spiritual part. And you know, so like this is kind of framed as like a vision or like a dream type of sequence. Yeah. And this was a year before ASMR was a thing. So I'm pretty happy that I got to participate early in some ways. Yeah, so that's the intro section. And then like things just keep happening. Like this took me a year to make. So in a way, I started this when I was 16. Just jumping around a little bit. Again, I encourage you guys, if you're interested in like my crazy synth noises from back then, like yeah, this is a nice little thing. Oh yeah. Yeah. Brings back so many memories, because like this was definitely the time where I started to feel like I was getting a hold of my life, and you know, like who I am as a person, and understanding like my strengths and stuff like that. And like I would just like kind of zone out and just like feel a lot, and this music really kind of aided in that. And you know, the fact that it changed kind of like, it was really interesting, like all these different moods. This is all one song. Yeah. And I remember thinking like, it's a little weird to debut with this like really crazy esoteric like ambient thing. I was like, oh well, you know, whatever. This is back when I was going by Aphorist, or the Aphorist. I thought about bringing it back, but I'm not fully sure. I would need to really think about it, because it'd be a different genre. Because I thought about branching out and changing my genres while still doing my current stuff, but I'll get into that later maybe. I also kind of want to feel like wrapping this up, because like I said, I need to format this better, because like I'm losing interest. But I'm sure you guys might not be. So let's see. So then next we have sonoluminescence, which is a term I learned through Minute Physics. That was a YouTube channel. I think they still are, but they were really huge back in like 2015 when I made this. So this is this upcoming March, like in a couple months, this will be 10 years old. And that's always fun to think, like with some of these songs, because I feel so close to them. Like it's still within my skill set to like make this. Like some artists, they look back on stuff they did 10 years ago and they're like, ugh, that's bad. But I'm really grateful that I can listen to this and be like, yeah, some of the mixes are a bit weird. Some of the composition is unfleshed out, but like I appreciate where I've come and like where I've gone since then. So yeah. Yeah, this is 2015. This again took a year. So I made Tempo Infinity, and then I was like, I should follow it up with you know, another ambient thing. But like not just like spa music that you can hang out to. More so like sonic adventure, like something that kind of takes your attention, but it's like a moment by moment thing. Like you're not exactly meant to like focus on it, but it also engages in your like imagination. I don't know, but this is one of my favorites. Love from the Sun. It's based on there's a quote by Sitting Bull. Here, while I'm playing it, I'm gonna look it up. Okay, A to Z quotes. Let's see if you got it. No, that's not it. Sitting Bull is intense. I'm looking for this specific quote. All right, I'm not going to keep scrolling through this, although there was a good one in there that I maybe this is it. Yeah. So, okay, I remember it was translated differently 10 years ago. Basically, behold, my friends, the spring has come. The earth has gladly received the embraces of all of the sun, and we shall soon see the results of their love. That's the idea behind that one. Except someone said, instead of the embraces of the sun, they said the love of the sun, or whatever this one was called. Love from the sun. Yeah. So I was like, that's cool. That's a very deep kind of thing. Anyway, sonoluminescence. I know it's a hard word, and that was kind of the point. I don't know if I'll keep doing that. Like, you know, make hard words for the titles of things, because at this point it's starting to be like, you know, how do you look that up if you don't know how to spell it? Like, yeah, it just doesn't fully work. And then okay, so as I was working on sonoluminescence, I also had the time to work on another beat tape. My first ever beat tape, in quotes, because I've been working on stuff for a long time before this. But Multiversal, this album was so long in the making, because back then, I don't know if some of you guys are old enough to remember this, but we had something called CDs, and we would put them in our cars, and yeah, you could go to Walmart or someplace and get like a full CD that you could record onto, and it went up to 80 minutes. And so I decided, like, I want to make something that is basically 80 minutes so I could fit it on a whole CD. And that's what I did. So that's why it's 1 hour and 20 minutes, because 60, 70, 80. Yeah, it's 24 seconds over, but I think I was still able to put it on a CD. I actually made a run of like 15 or 20 CDs that I hand designed the cover. I printed out the CD. I wrote all the titles on it. Yeah, good time. Like I never really, I don't know where those went. I think some people in my family have them. Some of my friends might have them, but for the most part, they're kind of gone to time. And that's something that's kind of common. I have like at least 40 songs. Just adjusting. I have at least 40 songs that are lost to time. But like I've grown to be okay with it. Like that's kind of the nature of existence. Like yeah, sure, it's a bit sad when things go and we don't have access to them anymore, but like at least we had that experience. And you know, like I learned that through mourning people who have gone, and like, you know, a lot of these songs that I like genuinely loved, like, you know, some of them ended up getting corrupted and deleted. But you know, I just kind of learned like we had that experience, and for some of these songs I'm the only person in the entire world who heard these, and so I just feel really special and honored to like do all that. Yeah, so like it also kind of challenges the idea, like just because something disappears doesn't mean that we can't create something again. Like, you know, as a creative person, it helps to think that you can always just keep going. Like you can always make something new again. Yeah, because if you're sitting there constantly being like, oh, if only I had this song, oh, if only I didn't accidentally delete it that one time, like I feel like we would be doing less. So that's my motivational topic on that. But anyway, multiversal. Whoop. Didn't mean to turn it down. Anyway, this was 2015. So it was, okay, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I was 19. Is that right? 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Yeah, I think I was. Yeah, I was 19 when I did this. Right? Yeah, I'm going to go with that. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even really... Do I have my dubstep thing still up? Because if you guys remember, dubstep was a huge thing from like 2009 to like maybe 2017. But I decided to do a whole album of it. I had some friends who were like really into the festival scene, and you know, whenever... Hold on, I'm gonna start this. Yeah, whenever we were over there visiting, they would be like playing this music, and so like I remember thinking like, some of this is really good, some of it is really good, and like, you know, I wanted to do my own version, so I was like, ooh, I want to try. And so then I went home and tried it out, and so like, you know, it's not exactly like, conventional, like, yeah, but it's definitely me. Like it's my interpretation of it. I don't particularly like this album anymore, just because like I know I could do better, and some of these are just like outrageous just so they can be outrageous. And lately I'd like to make something that's like intense for like a reason. Yeah, so let's see. I remember liking IFO. That was a pretty good one. This was on streaming for a few months a couple years ago, but I deleted it because I'm like, I don't really know if I like all this, and like people who press shuffle on my page, like there's just so many different levels. Like, sorry, some like chill songs, and then some of this, which is like, some of it is over the top, like this one. Got it right on the build up. So yeah, um, this was kind of a transition between when I started to move towards, I don't know, more. So like I would have these ideas while like I was working, like I was a dishwasher, and it was during a big rush, and I was thinking of like, I would just think of music a lot, and then like this was one of the ideas, like, like just ramping up the intensity, but with like some, crazy drums. Anyway, so yeah, that was released 2016, but I'm pretty sure this beat itself must have been like 2013-ish. I remember it was a bit older than the other ones. Anyway, that's Modern Morphology. I'm not too happy about it, but it is part of who I am, so I'm not gonna like cringe at it. Like, I appreciate it for the service it's done. We're getting close to my modern times, just so you guys know. Yeah, so around 2016, I took a hiatus. I kept making music, but oh hey, hey Mike. Yeah, so like, yeah, 2016 is when I kind of went on a hiatus because that's when some more intense things started to happen in my life. Lots of figuring things out, being out on my own, just trying to work things out. And yeah, 2017, I did a lot of traveling. I lived in Florida for a bit. That was pretty cool. Where is 2016? That is Swirls of the Dancing Steam. But here's a song I did in 2017, since it's not represented on my channel. Just listening to this, it sounds very 2016, 2017. And I didn't release this one because it uses samples. Ooh. And, copyright is a scary thing, especially in these days when, like, we're trying to make money off of what we do. And, yeah. But I will say that a lot of the voices on here, except the opera voice, they are me, just, like, pitched up. Yeah. Let's see. So that is 2017, 2018. You know what? I can go to 2018 on Spotify. But yeah, if you just joined, I'm just like going down memory lane and I'm recording it. And like I just want to like listen back to see like how things have changed, because I haven't always like explained what I've done to people I know. And it's nice to have it all in one spot. I've got 33 monthly listeners. That's pretty cool. I don't really like advertise my Spotify, so that's cool. I'm looking for my discography, so I'm going to close that. That's someone else's visual. Let's scroll all the way down. Oh, not that far. So here on streaming, we have Sonoluminescence, the ambient album I was talking about earlier, 2015. Multiversal, the 2015 beat tape. And then Event Strings Volume 1, 2017. This is when I started to get more in the weeds with ambient music, and I wanted to do more I don't know, visionary dream stuff. I was playing with textures, and I had this grand idea for the event string series, which I might still do, but it's not a priority anymore. Basically, this album is a blueprint for the next 8. Excuse me. Or the next 7. With 8 in total so far. And yeah, the first one is like orchestral. Let's see if it plays. Yeah. Yeah, so this is the first time that I worked with string sounds. And yeah, and then if you go to Spotify, you'll hear a lot of these have different vibes. Like eventually it becomes like, this like excuse me. I don't know. It explores a lot of different places. I'm not exactly sure if I want to do plan A, but I eventually released Event Strings Volume 2, which is right next to here, which came out 2 years afterwards. I made this all basically in 2018, and it's beginning to end. Like, they blend into each other. I made it into one giant, 30-minute track, and then I sliced it. And then posted all these. So if you listen to it from beginning to end, hopefully you won't be able to hear the difference between tracks. Yeah. So this was momentous. In my mind, I was thinking what would the album art be? And I thought of this mountain with the aurora borealis up top, and then the glow and stuff like that. So I ended up drawing this as a concept, but then I took a picture and I'm like, oh, this is exactly what I was thinking about. And it's my art, so it's very special and personal to me. So yeah, I decided to just use that. Let's see, scrolling up, we have Many Worlds Volume 3, that is 2019. This is where underground people, actually all of these are very important to me. Yeah, I made that one in 2016, 2017. But yeah, just participating in music. And then as we continue on, during 2019, I was working with this new thing that I discovered called Spitfire Labs, which, if you don't know, it's basically a free plugin where you can play various instruments that sound very realistic, or at least high quality, such as a piano. And that piano is based on a bunch of recordings of them pressing the key, and then it would just randomize between so what started off as me just opening that up and being well, let's explore it, let's see what it does. It eventually became probably one of my most important things so far. To Those Who Wait is kind of it's somewhat of a manifesto of kind of what I'm going for. I feel nowadays the beats would be a bit more pronounced and different. This new album I'm working on, it doesn't really sound like this, but the ethos is there. Yeah. So with this one, it was really interesting. So also in 2020, I was around 23, 24. So I'm in my 20s, and this just felt very special. Like it was very film music kind of, or like a documentary, but it was really deep. And I always find listening to that music is it kind of makes my imagination wander, or it really makes me like feel. So yeah, doing the sound was really fun. And I did something that I want to do again, which is I made this first song and then I was like, all right, I'm going to make the next song in the album, you know, because usually you make a bunch of songs and then you're like, all right, I'm going to put this in order to where it makes sense. In this case, I was like, no matter what, this next song will play right after it. You know, I can't rearrange things, you know. Yeah, so like I made this song and then I decided like, well, the next song would probably start like this, and then, you know, just keep going. And then like, you know, I finished the song. Yeah, and then I was like, well, how would the next song start? And so then I used that as the basis to like start the next one. Oh, the next song would start like this. And so like I didn't make another song until these songs were done. So like, yeah, I would play this song or make this song, and then I completed it with To Those Who Wait. At first it was going to be a short thing. To Those Who Wait is again a very important one to me. It's one of the few songs right now that have me playing live guitar. Like I was actually, you know, that's me playing electric. Yeah, I'll turn it up. Yeah, and I did the pop chord progression. Yeah. So that was nice. Yeah, and then I think a bunch of stuff happened, and then later I decided to make more songs. And then I was like, I worked on this song, which is, it's just one instrument and then like a few extra like effects that I like turned up and off. But like, this is the most minimal thing I've ever made so far. Like, it's this synth called Citrus, and there's a preset called Warm, and yeah, so that's why the song's called Warm. Yeah, and I wanted to challenge myself to make a cohesive full song without it being altered, you know, like I didn't need assistance from drums or like crazy effects. So yeah, this one's like comforting but also a bit unnerving. Like it's so interesting to me. Like, I don't know if you guys know about this thing called liminal spaces, but it's an internet thing. I don't want to fully explain it here. But basically it's, imagine you're in a dream and it's like not exactly a good dream, and you're in this like this old abandoned place from like 2000 or like the late 90s, and no one's there, but it's like eerie. And yeah, like that's the kind of the vibe that I was thinking about with this. Like there's some sort of tragedy in this song, and like, you know, this is an example of something that feels above me. Like, yeah, I did this, but it feels like, I don't know, like I'm a listener to it. I did make it, but I don't know, I don't take full ownership. But it's really special. So, you know, then the album continues like, oh, that's like the overnight part, and then this is when they wake up in the morning, and you know, they got some really good sleep. And like, you know, they're really like, You know, it's like get stuff done kind of music. It was definitely meant to be like a soundtrack to a film. Not that I was gonna make a film, but that was the idea behind the sound. I wanted to be like, oh, this is like a really grounded story, but the setting is like 2060 or something like that. Maybe 2040, I don't know. But yeah, so that's To Those Who Wait. I'm not going to linger on it too much. In 2020, I also later that year, I discovered a bunch of new plugins, which I'll be getting into on this channel. One of them being a comb filter. That's basically, I'm not even going to explain it. I'd rather like display it, show you guys. Excuse me. But that's not the stream. I decided like I'm going to try to stay on topic. Like at some point I'm going to have friends who show up. Anyway, so Jelly Bounce Hop spike in quality. Like I ended up getting tens of plugins. Like I got a lot of plugins and they were all free. And since I'd been making music for a while, I'll turn this down. Since I'd been making music for a while, I understood what worked, like what did I need. And yeah. Yeah, I learned how to do all these like kind of advanced textural sounds, and yeah, I was like, cool, I learned how to do this. Now I want to do it to a beat and like just explore texture, but like in a more modern sense, because this was 2020 and I think I worked on this pre-COVID. Yeah, so like, yeah, I wasn't even thinking about all the drama in the whole world. I was just thinking like, oh, nice textures. And then the follow-up, Jelly Groove Step. I actually designed merch based on this, which I might just get a one-off and then, not do it. Yeah, just it's this jellyfish, and then it just says like on the side, Jelly Bounce Hop, Jelly Groove Step. It's pretty cool. I might as well get it someday. But yeah, going up more. Oh yeah, in 2020, I decided to be really prolific for reasons. One of them being a massive lockdown of like our society. So that gave me a lot of time to like, flesh all this out and like gather everything. Like beats to defrost / thaw out to was almost kind of like an afterthought. Like I had all these beats and I was like, someday I'm gonna properly release these. And then it was like the middle of December and I'm like, I could release this in 2 days. Like if I just get a good set of songs together, I could just release something in 2 days. So that's what I did. These are all from like different parts of time. But they're mostly around 2020. For me, the best song on here is Return to Vapor. This one was like the only one that was not in the theme. Beats to defrost / thaw out to. That's kind of a reference to beats to study / game to, or beats, it's like a lo-fi hip hop thing on YouTube. And I wanted to parody that. So I was like, yeah, so if you're frozen, these are beats that'll help you like defrost or, just thaw out. Because it was in winter and I was thinking about spring because I really like spring. So yeah, I did that. And yeah, this whole thing came out in 2 hours, which I know earlier I mentioned in that video, it was like, oh yeah, this took 3 hours, as if that's a lot. But now it's like, if it happens in that amount of time, that means it was done quick. Because I have the option to save now. And yeah, I did this in one sitting. Return to Vapor. And like, to this day, besides some mixing, like, it's probably the best thing I've done. Like, again, it feels like my soul. Like, if someone was like, oh, what does your soul sound like? I'd just send them the link to this one. Yeah. But as yeah, I'll eventually get closer to making a whole album that sounds like my soul. That's the goal. Continuing on, getting more modern. We are at Plus 10 Cents, which is a 2021 album. And back then on YouTube, I was watching a lot of Adam Neely and several others like him, you know, music theory folks who like explore these topics and like really get into the deep end on topics like, in this case, microtones. Like, microtones are when you take notes that are in between the standard tuning. So like on the regular keyboard, you have 12 notes, but you can split it up. Like, you can have like 15 notes or 120 notes, or, you know, like, you have all this fine-tuned notes in between. And so I decided, like, I want to try it out. You know, it was one of those situations where like I heard some stuff and I was like, ooh, I want to try. So I went home and I came up with a lot of these. And the next year I came up with minus 10 cents. Wait, no, that was later that year. Felt like a year later. Plus 10 cents and minus 10 cents are two microtonal albums which were more intellectual and experimental. Again, I'm not sure if I really like enjoy them deeply. Like, there's some cool things on there, but I just feel like they're too cerebral. They're very mental. So I'm not always feeling them. But A Cold Moon's Lament, the last track on Plus 10 Cents, that one was another example of a song that was a bit beyond me. Like, I just kind of started and just kind of stopped thinking for a bit and just proceeded. And yeah, it ended up being this like this expression of cold. Like the place I was in, I was staying in this like trailer RV thing. And like I didn't really know how to heat it up. So I was just really cold at my laptop, and you know, I had a coat on inside, and like I remember being able to see my breath, and I was like, instead of trying to figure out how to warm this up, I'm going to use this cold experience to work on a song. And so it's winter right now, so some of you may be experiencing that now. At least if you're in America. But yeah, A Cold Moon's Lament. As I started to make it, I started to realize there's an underlying story going on. Like, yeah, it's just like stirred around in this like big liquid, and it's like big ice chunks, and you know, it's slippery. Like, there's no beat. It's like kind of everywhere, and that kind of speaks to a sense of like deep depression, or, you know, just like anguish, and in this case lament, which is like, you know, an expression of mourning. So it was made during a full moon too, so I was like, A Cold Moon's Lament. And like in my mind, I decided to make this story, which I haven't really like told very much, just because it's like, I want it to be its own experience. I don't want to dictate how people think about it. But if you're to humor me, this is a story about, or this song is a story about this girl from like I think early to late 80s, and like she ended up slipping and falling underneath the ice, and you know, like this part is when she started to slip, and yeah, at some point, like, you know, there's like, this is a gruesome story, so I apologize, but it's like she's under there and like things are starting to fade out at this part of the song, and you know, it's like all hope is lost. Like, you know, your body goes into shock and hypothermia starts to kick in, and you know, like there's like a breathing type thing in the strings. Like, it's like so dramatic and like sad. But yeah, this is underwater. And then like that synth is someone breaking through because like someone's trying to get her out of the ice. And then she emerges. Yeah, so like hope. You know, some levity in that situation. Yeah, so like at this point there's like, you can't really tell what's happening, but like, you know, she's in a hospital and like, you know, they're trying to get her back to life. But this part is where she starts to go through a wall. And you know what that means? That means she's a spirit and she didn't make it. And it's just kind of shocking. Like, after I started to realize that was the story behind it, I was like, whoa, like, this is deep. Like, you know, and then this chord change is like halfway between two different notes. So it's like, this is like moving on, you know, going from like tethered to that body into, you know, just moving forward as like a spirit. Yeah, like this is the last chord of the song, and like it doesn't end like on a nice note. It just like kind of just keeps going. And yeah, like this song is just very moving to me just because I kind of have that mini story. Again, it's gruesome. Like, it's literally a story about dying. And I realized like some of the songs that make me moved the most are about death and like, you know, being reincarnated and, you know, having lived so many lives, and it's very meaningful. So like, you know, I feel like a theme that's gonna be coming up in a lot of my work. But yeah, so a brief moment for minus 10 cents. I didn't like this one, to be honest. Not because, well, yeah, it's, again, cerebral and kind of like, you know, more mental than it is emotional sometimes. But just thinking about all the synths that I worked with, like, these are difficult. Like, well, here's a good one. I like City of Rain. But the plugin I used is called Surge, and I was recommended to it by Fast Music. And yeah, he was telling me all about it, and like he uses it to a good result. So I was like, I'll try it. And yeah, so I did. But for some reason, for my style, like the sounds that come with it didn't really make sense for like what I do sound wise. So I had to really work hard to like alter them, like change them within the plugin and, you know, in the mixer to make them fit. And it was a lot of work. Like it was kind of stressful, honestly. So like, you know, I think of these microtonal albums as kind of like a stressful memory. With minus 10 cents too, I also did a visual album, which I could show. I might as well. I already did the tour. Yeah. Oh yeah, I did the Rob Scallon stuff. I might talk about my experiences with other YouTubers some other day, because I have some experience with Rob. I have another more friends who I've experienced stuff with, but like, yeah, I already feel like I'm being long-winded, and I don't even know how long I've been streaming. I started around like 7:30 and it's 9. I knew this would take a long time. Let's see, where's my window? OBS, there we go. Okay. So yeah, like, so I made a visual album. That's in my hometown. Yeah, it was filmed on my phone. And in the program, you could add like that extra, you know, stuff that makes it look like a camcorder footage thing. Yeah. Anyway, this visual album took a long time. And again, it was kind of a stressful experience. Like, I had to really think like about all this music that I was listening to, and I was thinking like, what do I even put for the visuals? Because like some of them are pretty obvious. Like this one, I went on a walk and I was like, might as well just record me walking through, because I'm aware that things change. Construction happens in cities, and eventually we kind of forget that that was construction, and then it's just how things are. So like this road, for example, has been gutted up and replaced with a new road with new lights. It's a bit wider now because a bunch of semis go through it. There's industry down there. You can't see them, and I won't name them to not dox myself, but yeah, so like it just kind of shows that like it's a moment in time. Like, we'll never get to experience this again except through this video. So it's special. I like thinking about that kind of stuff. You know, like that road still exists, and it has for at least 20 years. But yeah, so like I just kept trying stuff. It was nice to understand, you know, get into the, oh yeah, someone else did the timestamps. I was going to do it, but I was like just doing other stuff. And then eventually someone was like, you know, this song, this time. Like, that's so nice. I'm glad they did that. And if you're watching, thank you. I hearted your timestamps. Yeah, so this was 2021, which means, you know, we're in the 2020s. I kind of glazed over the earlier stuff just because, like, yeah, I want to wrap this up, but I also want to give it proper time. So yeah, that's minus 10 cents, the visual album. It's cool. I mean, I'm not like, oh, guys, go check that out. It's more so like, yeah, if you like what I do and you're interested in, like, you know, putting it on in one sitting instead of like on Spotify where it's a sequence, like, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, so after minus 10 cents, I went on a YouTube hiatus for a little bit. Visions of the Future. Just briefly, that was my album, To Those Who Wait. I put some unfinished demos of that, and I made them reversed and like copied them like literally 12 to 16 times, and they're all just like stacked on top of each other, interrupting each other, and it's like very messy, but like it ended up being this all-encompassing like soundscape. And yeah, it was just really cool to experiment with and like fade them into other sounds, because there are little sections, because each song is like fading into the next song. So if you guys have time and you're sleepy or want to get sleepy, then it's just cool to explore. Like, this is, as much as I wasn't really hands-on in the creation of every single thing, I'm like, these are my songs that I just altered. So it's really cool, like, what happened. Like, I didn't really try for this. Yeah, it was interesting experiment. I wonder if I can do it again someday. I don't know. Some of the material I have doesn't work like that. Like, you change the keys and stuff. Let's see, 2022. Yeah, not much. Okay, no, there is a lot to say about source code. I was gonna say, like, oh, there's not much to say about source code. It just came out. But no, source code EP. It is the idea of, so, like, you see, in this digital world, source code mix, which implies that I plan to do a non-source code mix of the song. Yeah, source code being a code that kind of begins the rest of a program. Like, I don't know the technical aspects of what I'm trying to explain here, but all I know is a source code is a very important part of any program. And I was working on this project, which I'll probably still be working on, but it's called The Digital World. And it's an album that's like kind of like an opera, but like modern. And it's like this story about humanity and like AI and, you know, like just trying to figure out, like, how do you stay human in an AI based society, which is a very modern question right now in 2025. Maybe even more so. But I made source code EP. I was about to release the digital world, but like, I kind of lost momentum. Like, it takes a lot of effort to do, you know, this level of songs, you know, that high of a concept. And I wanted to kind of like put it on a back burner. So like, where there used to be, like, I think I had 11 songs, I reduced it to 4, because the rest, like, I would have to go through in a whole other session and complete them. But yeah, so source code, Frozen in Time. Frozen in Time is kind of based on a dream I had. I was driving with a friend and I fell asleep and I woke up and it seemed like they were lost, but we ended up in the 2030s. And like, we went to this place and the city was so smooth and like, it was like a town, not a city, but it was very smooth. Like the landscaping was like very meticulous and well done. There was a lot of like curves that were very visually pleasing. The roads were wide and like everything just looked so smooth and solid, you know, and yeah, it was a cool experience. And you know, this song just kind of encapsulates that idea of like, oh, this is like 2030s music, although it is very 2020s. And then in this digital world, this was created at a time, let's see, I made this song in 2020. And that's because after the new year, I was at home and I was just kind of thinking like, whoa, this is a whole new decade. And that's wild. And I just thought back to like the whole decade. One second. Excuse me. Yeah. So I started in this digital world sometime in 2020 or 2019 maybe. But I didn't save it. Like, I had the chords and the general like melody going on, but I was like, you know, like somehow I ended up deleting it. But then later on, I was like, I want to make something I'm thinking about all this stuff, and I decided like might as well just like remember those chords that I did and then remember the melody. Excuse me. I'm sure the demo that I did was different, but might as well play it while I'm talking about it. But yeah, in this digital world, again, it's another song that I'm like thinking about the 30s and 40s. But yeah, this song, I made it overnight. And like the reason was like I was just thinking about all these existential things about time and like the year. And I was thinking about I'll tell this full story another day, but like essentially I was thinking like, we all kind of exist in this imaginary world alongside this like material world where we actually do, I can do this in the material world, but like in this like imagined world, I can like think about doing that, but it isn't actually happening. And when you're a kid, you are fully immersed in that imaginary world, and like you play through scenarios where like, you slay a dragon, or like, you're like, I don't know, like whatever kids play. Like I was thinking about how like that imagined world is existing on top of this one, and it's still the same amount of real, but you have to travel to it like in your mind. And so like I just thought about when I was a kid and how that felt being a kid fully immersed. And then I was thinking like, well, what was it like in the 80s before I was born? And then I thought about that and like imagine like, how the kids interacted with this imaginary world, and teens. And then I thought like, okay, what about the 70s? And then I thought about the 70s, like it's before like some of the technology. So like the work that you had to do to have an imagination was different. It had to be more homegrown. Then I was like, okay, what about the 60s? And like, I just kept going back, and I got to like, I think the late 30s before I ended up stopping. But like while I was producing this song, just like barely thinking, I was just like really just thinking about like, wow, time has always been kind of like this. And like, we have this world on top of the material one, and like this world, the adults experience it too. And that's where like a lot of corporations get their ideas for like, let's say like Procter and Gamble, like they make deodorant. Like when you smell it, it does something to like kind of evoke a feeling. Like you smell it and suddenly you're like, oh, I'm confident. Oh, I'm, a successful businessman. Or like, it just like leads to so many different things. And it was this giant rabbit hole. And it was so deep that it kept me up all night. And I was thinking like, okay, I'm getting a little tired. I'm going to work on this drum pattern, or, I'm going to get up to the 5 or the 4 minute point, and then I'm just going to stop. But then I just kept going. And this was 1 8-hour session. There were some breaks where I did other stuff on the computer, but yeah, it was all fueled by like existential anxiety. But like it led to like, again, another song that sounds like my soul. Like it's about being in the past but also in the future, and like deciding what to do with it. In this digital world, I reach out for your touch. You being humanity, like my humanity, I reach out for like reality, like a realness in this digital world. And it's about like reaching for that sense, but like kind of losing your mind. That's why the ending is so dramatic and kind of like it's not triumphant. Like, it's almost like a tragedy. Like, this guy has been trying to find his humanity for so long, but all he did was just replicate himself into like who he used to be and like just living this dream. And it's like, yeah, another like kind of tragic song. Yeah, so like that's probably the big one in this source code EP. So yeah, The Digital World, the album that was about to be made, it was like, I don't know, like I was gonna make it into this VR experience where like it's basically a video game, but it's also like this opera, like this story, like a cutscene that you can move around through. But you know, I have no idea how to do that. Like, I don't know how to do 3D art right now. Like, I don't know how to code yet. So like, I put that on the back burner. I just released this source code mix, knowing that eventually I'm going to flesh this out. And this is going to be the main theme of like the whole project. So 2028, maybe. That's kind of my guess. Getting more modern. We got Splendid Liquid, which is kind of me going off the rails, to be honest. Like, I was really wanting to make something that was exploring dubstep-ish sounds. Like, I really wanted to push myself to the limit of like, how liquidy can I make beats? And like, you know, I'm exploring all these textures. How far can I take it? And so this is me going off the rails, going off the ledge and like really reaching deep. Like this song, Drip City 2, Drip Harder. This came from one sound that I altered so much that I could change it into like different notes and like different things like that. You know, it's just me in 2010 going and yeah, if you listen, you can hear it. But in that time, I learned how to do so many things on the computer that I was like, all right, I'm going to challenge myself. That's everything in this song can only come from. And yeah, as you can hear, liquidy. This sounds like some sort of viscous liquid. And yeah, that's just the intro, and then you can kind of hear like a beat starting to brew. Yeah. It's the second most intensive song that my computer has to endure. Like, while I was working on it, it was so hard to listen to because everything was lagging. You know, the CPU was so overloaded that, like, I just had to trust that it would work. Then I'd export it as a song just to hear it. And then, yeah, it just took so much trust. I probably can't open this on stream just because that's how intensive it is. But it's not as intensive as the next song, Honey Bear, which technically the second most intense. The first intense is like a 30-minute ambient thing that I won't go into today. But yeah, this one makes my computer struggle. I have to close everything else except for FL Studio when I play this one. And like, as you can hear, like, listen to those textures. But yeah, it continues. Like, there may be repeated themes, but like it's not like it just doesn't repeat. Like, it's like a liquid. Like, you don't, besides setting it down, it doesn't really stay still. Like, it always wobbles, and you know, it's just always moving. So I was thinking about like it's called Honey Bear because I'm thinking of this bear who's just like obsessed with honey, and he just keeps acquiring more honey. Like, you know, this is joy. It's like a bliss state of honey consumption. Yeah, and then yeah, so then this was a lot of fun to do because like I wanted to make it overwhelming, but I wanted it also to be palatable, you know, like this is listenable. It's just kind of a lot, but it's listenable. Yeah. The rest continues, but I don't want to play every single thing. Yeah, 2022, 2023. We're getting into modern times. 2023 was an unfortunate year for me because my grandpa passed away, and my grandpa is still probably like one of the most important people to me when it comes to music. Like, he taught us all instruments, like I mentioned. He was a big important part of my family, and like he really taught me a lot about music and like being true to yourself with it, and like, you know, it doesn't matter if you're like the best, as you know, as long as you can feel it. Like, it's about connection. One second. Yep. So yeah, it's about honesty from yourself. And so like, yeah, 2023, that's down in history as the most intense year of my life. I mean, so far, but I'm assuming by the next time I have some intense experiences, I have more support. Like, this was a lot. So yeah, I made Leaf Green, which I have a YouTube video for. In fact, now that I mention it, I can show you guys. I'm going to skip the Shape featuring Emily Hopkins just because, again, I'll be talking about the YouTuber stories another day. Eventually, I'll have guests on here who can help me stay focused. But yeah, Leaf Green. This was like, I'm slowly opening up. I'm slowly getting my things out there more, and this Leaf Green was a very important song for me because like I made it in like 3 hours, and like I just wanted to make something that sounds like a sequence of events fading into each other. Like, yeah, it's like very mystical. It's very dreamlike. I like the little bird. Yeah, so the rhythm, like, it's all based in rhythm, but also like a flowy, you know, aesthetic. And then I recorded all those videos. I still have a lot of those crystals, like, for example, this. And when I say crystal, I mean glass, but this thing, I zoomed in a lot on this. And then coming up near the end is this one. And I got that first one I showed you, I got that at Goodwill. And then I got this one at TJ Maxx. Yeah. And I saw it and I'm like, this really fits like something I'd want to be seeing a lot. I feel a strong connection to this type of thing. Like, you know, translucent you know, glass crystalline stuff. Yeah, so that's a common theme. But yeah, I did this video on my phone. And you know, that's still crazy to me. Like, oh yeah, I made this whole music video on my phone. Like, I recorded the video, altered the footage on my phone. And yeah, that to me is really cool. So that's the end of that one. That fern, I really like that fern. It's off camera. I'm not gonna turn the screen, but trust me, the plant is in the room with us now. Yeah, and then don't leave me behind. Yeah, this one's so special to me. I really like it because not only is the song like kind of like it's like memories. I don't know, it's hard to put into words. And it's also a bit personal, so I don't want to like tell a lot of it, but it's basically like longing. It's about longing and like life experience. You know, don't leave me behind. A bit ironic because this whole video takes place in my car. I was driving on my way to Minneapolis to hang out with the people at the 10-year anniversary of Chase Bliss Audio. Yeah, I'll tell that story another time. It was a great experience. Very memorable still to this day. But yeah, this was me driving. I made sure to stop recording when the cars passed, just so you guys know. Yeah, and I only pulled out the camera to like, you know, show all this stuff in the distance when no one else was there. This was at like 5, 6 in the morning in the summer. So like, I just looked around and I was like, this is breathtaking. All the surroundings are like photogenic and extremely incredible. Like look at that. I was there in person. I was like, this is wild. And you know, I think this is the one exception. I let this person pass. If you notice, I slowed down a tiny bit just to make sure that my steering is good. Yeah. And another reason I recorded this is the same reason as the previous ones, where it's like, I know things will change. I know eventually things won't look like this. And so I want to preserve it. And I want to show people in the future, like, this is how things were. This is what the road that I drove on looked like. I'm sure anyone watching in the future will know that this road was replaced at some point. Maybe in a long time from now. But yeah, so this is in Minnesota. But yeah, very meaningful song. Don't leave me behind, please. Take me with. Come on. And then here, I'll do this one. And then I'll be wrapping it up soon, thankfully. Like I said, I'm just brute forcing this. I want to get used to streaming, even if it's not really like what I deem as valuable. But again, I made this on my phone, and this was my window. Of course, I put the kaleidoscope effects on it and stuff, but like, yeah, it was like minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit, or it was like obscenely cold. But all these ice crystals showed up, and I was like, that looks really cool. So I just took my phone out and just started like recording, tried to move very smoothly, you know, just to kind of like get that spatialization going. And I really like it. It's very like theatrical and dreamy in a way. This part, it's like a spine chilling part for me. Just like the bass, like that's the deepest I could go. Like I made it a chord, but it's like a bass chord, so it's like based on harmonics. So I fine-tuned it, and it was like, I felt really happy with it, because whenever I listen to it in my car, like it really rumbles things. And my car is not the type of car that would like, I can't like, yeah. And plus, I think at one point I had a dream where I was watching this visual, like with the hexagon sun reflection thing. So like when I made it and I was watching it back, I was like, whoa, this is that. So I was like, well, not changing that. That's exactly how it's gonna look like. Yeah. So yeah, this was a nice experience. This whole album, Ice in the Night Sky, it's an album of mourning for me. Like I mentioned, my grandpa passed away, and it was very impactful. There's a street light in my other hometown. Yeah. So that was my brief like hyping up, like, hey, I got an album coming out, guys. Yeah, and like 2 weeks later I released it. I think in the future I'll probably like, do it a bit more ahead of time. Like, I've been kind of last minute with how I've been doing things, so it'd be nice to plan ahead a bit more. But speaking of, wait, I don't even know what that segue was about to be. But here is Ice in the Night Sky. It is the visualizer. So like all I did was just make it into one long video, put the album art, the song titles. Yeah. But this is my most recent release. And it's crazy that I only released one thing in 2024. I'm used to releasing at least one thing a year. And I had enough material to maybe release another thing, but I'm at a point now where it's like, I don't just want to release anything I make. Like, I want to be able to pick and choose and like really fine tune like the output that I'm doing. And any of the leftovers, I can release them someday. Maybe when I'm dead. Maybe before that. I don't know. But like, I'm just thinking like, I just wanted this to be a celebration and exploration of like cold. Like down here, I wrote this thing. It basically like talks about each, just looking at this. Yeah, it just talks about each track briefly, like in 2 sentences. Yeah. So, I'm just gonna read it. Ice in the Night Sky is an album full of dreamy beats and icy soundscapes. Inspired by my experiences with death, this album is an exploration of life, dying, and the mysteries that lie on the other side. You can tell I was really thinking about that. Ice represents our physical world, and the night sky represents the spirit world. Whatever that is to you and your belief system. The first song is Dawn, a depiction of the moment right before one is born, the formless approaching the form. Yeah. It's a very special time right before you're born because like you have a plan and anyway, you can read this. Each song represents something, and the last song is about like receiving a message from the other side, like yeah. This piano was generated. I set out like, okay, make something in like G minor 13 or something like that. Like it was like a big spread out jazz chord, and then I just made it go on for a while, and made the notes like spaced out. And then this is what came out. And then so I was like, all right, to make it sound like something I already made, yeah, I'm just gonna like emphasize certain things. You know, I had some extra effects on the piano. Yeah, but like I made it sound like something that I just played, I guess. But yeah, so that was nice to me. It reminded me of serialist composers back in the day. So I've always wanted to try that ever since I learned about what serialism is. Yeah, so yeah, that's Ice in the Night Sky. Yeah. A cool thing about this, so like whenever there's a big moment of like the bass getting bigger, or like the notes get harsher, I make the rest of the song react to it. So like that bass part, it kind of like it like tears itself apart basically, and it just sounds so cold. Like it's kind of cold outside right now, but like I kind of get shivers hearing this just because it just reminds me of like that deep cold, like, you know. My grandpa passed away in January, so it was still very much winter, and that experience of like lowering him down, like that is deep, and like the song is based on that experience. But yeah, this song is very special to me. And then yeah, it just ends in like just noise, like just distant snow and like wind. And it goes on for like a minute, like kind of like a Boards of Canada type thing. But yeah, like I just skipped ahead. It just keeps going. And, you know, that's like it going off in the distance. You know, it's the send-off. And, yeah, I think that was the last thing I released. Yeah, that's my most recent release. So now, I guess that's the end of this presentation. Yeah. So, like, what I've learned from this whole thing... Hold on. So this next album that I'm working on right now, it's going to be my first vocal based album where, like, you know, I'll be singing on it because I've been singing for a long time, but I never actually like put it onto songs very much, just like the one time. But I really want to like put all this experience and stuff that I've had, I want to put it into these songs and, you know, tell a story. I haven't really like, I don't know, like I feel like I've lately just been putting stuff out to put stuff out. Like some of it's really meaningful, but some of it's not. Some of it's honestly not. But yeah, like this next album is, again, going for like kind of a futuristic type of approach. The first half is like beats. Well, they're all beats, but the first half is daytime, you know, movement. And then the second half is like nighttime. And it's about going up this tall tower. And as you go further up, it gets more, I guess, spatial, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to explain. But yeah, so this next album I'm not fully sure what I'm calling it, but right now the working title is The Grand Atrium. And it's going to be, I'm going to wrap everything up that I've done in the past 16 years. Because yeah, like I've been through a lot. Like I feel like it kind of reflects in my music, the feeling of loss and longing that I've felt for people. And it's like, I want to put that into words so that I can wrap it up and begin new. Like it's 2025 and I really want to make something that's meaningful in a long time. Like, yeah, I feel like I'm holding myself back just because I'm not making a whole bunch of music, or not making a whole bunch of money from my music right now. It's been a while since I've been hired to like do something for someone music related. And yeah, like, I don't know, this next one, it feels very special to me. And yeah, so I'm not exactly sure how to wrap this up. I appreciate those of you who are watching, those who will be watching this. Most of you are from the future, so greetings from the past. It's way back in January 2025 for me. But yeah, so I guess look forward to more content from me. I don't know how many usable clips or anything that I have in this one. Like, I really need to have more plans. Like, I want to have a theme. I want to have stuff that we do during the day or during the stream instead of like, let's just talk about what I've done. Like, I don't know. As a person, I tend to be a bit scattered. I do get things done. And if someone has any questions, I answer them. But like, if I'm just left to my own devices, I go all over the place and I start exploring so many different things. And, you know, I'm hoping that starting to stream helps me kind of like hone it in, start to focus, get it into like one thing. Because I want to be a good presenter, and I feel like some specific things that I'm experiencing are worth sharing about. You know, I'm learning cool things with music production, which the producers will like, but also like those of you who don't make music, like I want to make stuff for you guys too, so that it's not always about like, you know, just the nerds, because that makes my audience a bit thin. So, yeah, I guess that's about it. Again, my name's Sheldon Bird, Sheldon Ray Bird. Ray is my middle name. So those who watch my channel will know that it's my middle name, but maybe other people won't. But anyway, that's about it for me. I'm going to I'm trying to think of what song I want to end it on. Might as well do this one. Yeah, so I'm gonna leave you guys with one or maybe a few songs that I've made that don't really live on anywhere. They don't really live on a project. I don't really have much plans for them anymore. At one point I did, but not anymore. So yeah, thanks again for watching. Thanks for the support, and look forward to the next one where I actually have a plan. I might be busy in the next couple of weeks, so don't expect consistency yet. Once all my affairs are in order, once all my ducks are in a row, I'll have a more concrete schedule, and then we can actually like plan some fun stuff to do, and I'll have guests, and you know, I'll be able to explain stuff to them, and I'll be able to I don't know, just make this channel more fun. I want it to be more than just music videos. So I guess that's it for now. Thanks everyone, and have a good day or night, whatever.